Somewhat to our surprise, overall employment has remained quite robust. It's sort of flatlining, but it's flatlining at a high level. And indeed, the relative growth is greater here than it has been in New South Wales. And New South Wales has been doing better recently than the rest of Australia. At the same time, unemployment, which had been tracking up and which the RBA is still expecting to track up slowly for the next 12 months, has kind of levelled off. That may or may not continue forward, but we still have quite high participation rates locally, and with high participation, the unemployment can rise if the jobs aren't out there. Thus far, we're striking a balance. That headline, though, hides what's happening in the dynamics of the transition. We count the number of employees in these charts, and this one shows you that the growth is really in part-time employment. Full-time employment is actually sliding slowly regionally. And that's partly because of the transition between the different industry sectors. I've just put 5 of our major employment sectors on that chart, and what we're seeing is that construction has really borne the brunt of the downsizing in the resource investment. Mining's sort of tracking along okay because that's the production side. At the same time, retail has continued to its sort of long-term slide. It's been under a lot of pressure, both from cheaper imports and online trading. Manufacturing, which in this region, in contrast to a lot of the rest of Australia, had been growing, has also returned to a longer-term downward trend in employment. And we get to see how much it may benefit from a slowly falling dollar. But the health sector has continued quite strongly its long-term trend of growth, as have some of the other service sectors that are in the chart there. And that presents important opportunities for the region because health is one of the areas where there is expected to be long-term growth. It's an area where this region is strong in terms of our research capabilities and our university, and it's also one that's been fingered recently as an area of major powering of the Australian economy over the next 20 years. On the other hand, and part of the reason for our hesitation, job advertisements, certainly in print media, are still very weak. We benefited during the global financial crisis, which is that little dip, from the buffering of the resource investment. In Australia as a whole, that was a big dip. What's happened now is the Australian picture is holding up somewhat better in terms of job advertisements. It's still down, but it's somewhat better than we are. That may be a bit of an overstatement because print, the whole shift in the labour market is towards online advertising and online response to jobs. But even so, it's looking as though we may have some headwinds ahead. However, it may be bottoming out, and indeed, importantly, in terms of employment intentions, which has been shown to be linked quite closely to what happens to employment, our survey in June hit a very low number, but it's bounced up in September, and that's partly seasonal, but given the high proportion of small businesses in our survey, that's a very positive change, and it does look like a bit of a turn in the downward trend.